Hi, I'm Brian,
And I'm Michaela, and this is Drink the Movies.
a podcast where each week we try to recreate a classic movie drink and discuss the movie that inspired it.
Thanks for joining us. Now let's drink the movies.
Well, hello, and welcome to episode 150 of Drink the Movies. I'm Brian here, as always, with Michaela. Michaela, 150, that's quite the milestone, and it makes sense that we would hit such a monumental number coming up on our, festive holiday films, because that's how we got started here on Drink the Movies, with some holiday films going all the way back to our very first episode of, what was it, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation? Was that number one?
That
So
was
it
the
makes,
first one.
it makes sense, 150. But this time we're covering the Christmas Chronicles. Now, a lot of these holiday films we've covered, I've been pretty familiar with things that I watch every year, but Christmas Chronicles has not been a part of my annual rotation since it came out. What about you? What do you think about Christmas Chronicles, Michaela?
So, Christmas Chronicles was kind of the first Christmas movie that I remember showing up on Netflix, being a Netflix film. And I was like, oh gosh, it's another Hallmark Channel monstrosity, is what I was worried about. And we talk a lot of crap about the Hallmark Christmas movies, and really there's no need for it. Like they serve a purpose. Everybody loves them. It's a girl who always goes to. She was in the big city. She has to go be in the middle of nowhere. She falls in love with a lumberjack. It happens, and there's a Christmas tree, and there's someone comes in and sings a carol or two. It's great. But I was worried when I first saw this, and I
Mm.
saw that Kurt Russell is playing Santa, and I was like, this is either going to be amazing or it's going to be like the Jingle All the Way Arnold Schwarzenegger monstrosity. It's going to be really, really bad. Now,
Um,
maybe that's your favorite film. I don't
Jingle All the
know.
Way is amazing.
Okay, whatever.
Carry on,
But
carry on.
I'll just, yep. I'm alone. I'm alone in my principle there. But I was really scared. It came out in 2018. We saw it, and now we see it every year. And we're going to talk about all the reasons why. But my son
Mm.
loves it, and I kind of love it too. So yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I remember seeing this when it was coming out, and yeah, it seemed like Netflix was like gunning for that audience, right? Of like the Hallmark and the Lifetime movies, and they're like, we can do Christmas too. And yeah, Kurt Russell was in it. I remember all the buzz was about how much people really liked Kurt Russell as Santa Claus. Out there, loved it, loved his look, loved the aesthetic of this new Kurt Russell Santa Claus. He was bringing more Jack Burton energy to the role there. That's a deep cut for our Big Trouble in Little China fans, which we've talked about on the podcast before. But yeah, I remember hearing a lot about it, but I just never watched it. I was too busy watching, It's a Wonderful Life and Rudolph and Charlie Brown Christmas, all the classics. I didn't have enough room in my heart for a new classic, but maybe I have room in my heart for a new classic now. I don't know. We're gonna have to talk about it and find out to see what we think. But you know what I think we need to do first, Michaela? That is
We need
go
alcohol.
infuse. We need alcohol. Yeah, we have to infuse some vodka with some candy canes and mix up a cocktail. So we're going to do that, and we'll be right back to chat about it.
You'll know real when you get it. It'll say eBay Authenticity Guarantee, and you'll feel it. Maybe it's a head-turning handbag, a watch that says it all, jewelry that makes you look like the gem, sneakers and streetwear so fresh, every step feels fly. eBay gets it. So look for the blue check mark next to that thing you love, and be confident that every inch, stitch, sole, and logo is checked by experts. With eBay Authenticity Guarantee, you can trust that feeling of real is always in reach. Ensure your next purchase is the real deal. Visit eBay.com for terms.
So, Brian, I don't know if you knew this, but reindeer love candy canes. They don't just love carrots. So, if you're going to
Did
leave
not.
anything out for the old Saint Nicholas, um, I recommend some candy canes as well as carrots because the reindeer are doing all the work. Santa's just in a sleigh. They're the ones traveling all over the place,
That's true.
flying.
They're the real
They need some
heroes.
sugar. They're the real heroes. And we talked about the real hero of Christmas. Gosh, last week with
Mm.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. But this Christmas cocktail calls for some candy cane vodka that I made, that
Yeah.
we did make it together. And so we're going to talk about all the things. This is a candy cane martini, and it comes to us from the website Boulder Locavore or
Yeah.
Locavore. I'm not really
Lo
sure.
locavore. It's like a carnivore,
Locavore.
but
Oh, got
it's
it.
local. It's a local thing. Michaela. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we have to make our own candy cane vodka. And that seemed fun. You could probably go out and buy like peppermint vodka, which would be the same thing, basically, pretty much. But I wanted to make my own. You wanted to make your own, and it's important to make your own because it's going to be nice and pink when you're done with it. And it's really simple to do. So basically, take yourself a mason jar, get yourself a handful of candy canes. You can use like the big full-size candy canes. You could use like little ones. I got like the little ones, right, that are like individually wrapped. And then I've been munching on the other like 98 of them that I got in the box for the last week.
As you do.
As you do, as you do. And you're going to take those. Go ahead and like crumble them up a little bit or put them in your jar and shake them to break them up into some little pieces. And then you're going to put in some regular vodka and some vanilla vodka. If you have that, I actually just did straight, just regular vodka in mine. I think you did a little bit of a mix of the vanilla or some whipped cream vodka with yours. And then just let that set for like 3 or 4 days. Now it says in the article that you're gonna have to strain that, but I did not have to do that because my candy canes totally dissolved. It was really weird, kind of off-putting, to be honest. But you're left with this very like bright, vibrant pink vodka that you can do with as you will.
Yes. Yeah, you definitely want to use the white and red candy canes. Don't use the other ones. They will not be pink. It'll be
don't
this
use like the
brown
Smarties
sludge.
ones that they have now.
Yeah,
They have all kinds now. Starburst
Yeah,
ones.
they do.
All
Don't do
kinds.
that. Regular candy canes, people. Regular
That's right.
candy canes. And you use the small ones. I used the big ones, and I did notice that, I mean, they only got down to we were down to the dregs, but they dissolved mostly. Maybe
Okay.
it's because yours were the smaller ones. So I don't know
That
if
could
I
be.
should have broken mine into pieces. I don't quite understand that, but yeah, so it does create a really beautiful pink color, and it smells lovely. If you like peppermint, if you don't like peppermint, you're not gonna like this. Just skip it. Okay.
Just move along to the
Don't
movie. Yeah, don't make this up. You won't like it at all. But yeah, so take your candy cane vodka that you have now, and then you're gonna mix up a cocktail. You could do anything that you do with vodka here. If you want some peppermint vodka, put some in your coffee or some hot chocolate. That would be delicious. We talked about putting some in our eggnog. That would be good as well. But we're mixing up today the candy cane martini, and it's pretty simple. So what I did was into a shaker tin with some ice, 2 ounces of the pre-made candy cane vodka, a half ounce of creme de cacao. You want to make sure to use the white creme de cacao, the clear one, not the brown one. So a half ounce of that, and then a dash or two of bitters. Go ahead and shake that with some ice, strain it into a martini glass, and if you want to be extra fancy, go ahead and rim that with some crushed up candy cane. That's the route I went on. It gives you a little bit more candy cane flavor and aroma as you're drinking it, and then sip and enjoy. So, Michaela, I never really was concerned that this wasn't going to be good, but I didn't know how good it was going to be. But it was pretty good. As someone who likes peppermint, I really like that kind of clean, cold taste of a peppermint. So I was a big fan of this one. What do you think about it?
I loved it. So peppermint can be very strong for me. I don't like peppermint and chocolate together as much, so I was a little concerned that I was going to get this kind of white chocolate. It was going to be too mouth coaty, but that did not happen at all. And I think the white cream de cacao really helps with that. With the lack of that, is that it's sweet, but it's not too sweet. I think, as you said, this is half. When you're making the candy cane vodka, you're supposed to do half vodka and half like vanilla vodka. I did half vodka and half whipped cream vodka because that's what I had. And it was a bit on the sweet side, but I think the dashes of bitters pairs really nicely with it. So what I did after I had one, and I thought that's a little sweet, I did a third dash of bitters, and it suited just fine. It was just kind of evened it out a little bit for me. I love this drink. It's beautiful. It's really easy to make once you do the vodka, and it makes you feel like a total confectionery person, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like making this homemade thing, and it's super easy. I don't know. It was very Christmassy. I just loved it.
Yeah, it's a good one, and definitely was easy to put together. It wasn't hard to make that infusion really at all. We've done a couple of those here throughout the history of Drink the Movies, and this was definitely one of the easier ones we've put together. So let us know what you think about some candy cane martinis, or if you have any other good uses for some peppermint vodka, let us know that. But for now, Michaela, what we need to do is let's mix up another one of these drinks and take a quick break, and then we'll be right back to chat about this week's film, The Christmas Chronicles.
You have the food, the decorations, but you're running out of time to get the perfect holiday gifts. Good thing Sephora offers free same-day delivery. Order the best fragrance, makeup, skincare, and hair care gifts online and have them delivered from the store to your door today. No order minimums, only with free same-day delivery at Sephora. Use code GETGIFTS. Oh, Sephora, that was fast. Offer ends December 24th. Exclusions and terms apply. Beauty insiders only. One-time use available in select markets.
Dear Santa, this is Kate Pierce. I've been really good this year. I do say bad words every now and then, but that's only when my brother Teddy makes fun of me and I lose my temper. Let go, you're gonna break it!
Who cares? This camera's like 20 years old.
I have to work.
It's Christmas Eve.
You're gonna stay home with your sister.
We should make a video. Maybe we could get a shot of Santa Claus.
You really have no clue, do you? Nobody's ever seen Santa Claus!
Tell me you're getting this.
Spoiler warning for the Christmas Chronicles. If you've not yet seen this film that came out in 2018, you should stop right now. You could go watch it. It's on Netflix. It's free if you have Netflix. Go watch it. Make yourself up some candy cane martinis. Watch this film and come back and we can chat about it because we're going to talk about all the things.
That's right. So this was released in 2018 on Netflix, as you mentioned, Michaela. We're going to talk about that a little bit more here in a second. But it was directed by Clay Cadis, who had directed the Angry Birds film before this, but that was it. That was all of his directing up into this movie. He was a Disney animator prior to that, so I guess has a good feel for these family movies, I suppose. And this one stars Darby Camp as Kate, our Christmas-believing younger sister to Teddy, who is played by Judah Lewis. The man, the myth, the legend himself, Santa Claus, is played by none other than Kurt Russell. So, Michaela, we talked a little bit about this in the lobby bar, a little bit at the top, but yeah, it seemed like Netflix was like gearing up to get into this Christmas wars, as they're known here, where you have Hallmark and Lifetime battling it out for eyeballs. Netflix seemed to be all on board. It seems like they've kind of fallen off of that train since then, but this movie was a fairly big deal when it came out.
It was. And, you know, again, I was very hesitant. I was like, this is either going to be amazing or it's going to be awful. And then I saw that Chris Columbus was the producer. Now, I don't know if you know who Chris Columbus is. I mean, yeah, I know you do. But listeners, if you don't know who Chris Columbus is, we can thank him for two of the best Christmas movies ever made, and that is Home Alone and Home Alone 2 Lost in New York, okay? Which we've covered one of them. We covered one of them last Christmas. It was a really fun cocktail too. I don't know what episode number that is, but go look that up because it's really fun. So I was really hoping that this was going to give me the same kind of family feel. There was going to be some adventure, some maybe crazy like teenage young kid hijinks in it. And I have to say, it didn't disappoint. Lots and lots and lots of little like vignette adventures that happen in this one. And the animation of the elves, we got to talk about because I think it is one of the best things I've seen in a really long time.
Yeah, absolutely. The production quality here was really good. Netflix was throwing a lot of dollars at this to make sure that it was good. Obviously, you're spending some dollars to get Kurt Russell there, but then just the way that it looked, and we're going to talk about a couple of those things that I really liked in watching this movie. And yeah, you know, Chris Columbus was kind of at the helm. His production company, I think, was the ones who kind of picked the story up and did it. And then Chris Columbus actually went on to direct the sequel for this. But yeah, you mentioned Home Alone, also, you know, Mrs. Doubtfire, the couple of the Harry Potter films. Chris Columbus has this way of getting family stories out there. So yeah, it's going to be good, but I never had the opportunity to watch it until this week. So let's get into the movie a little bit here, Michaela, and see what we think about it now. So the movie kind of starts off, there's like this family there having a nice Christmas. There's some babies being born, right? First there's a little boy, his name is Teddy, and then along comes a new baby girl, Teddy's sister. His sister Kate is coming along, and they're spending these family Christmases together. It looks like a good time. We learned some important stuff. We learned that the reindeers love to eat candy canes, not just carrots. That's important for later in the film. And yeah, we're having a really good time. And then until like, nope, here is a sad rock to your chest. Your heart's going to hurt now because it turns out that poor old dad did not make it. Firefighter. Why this movie is so sad to start? Michaela, what are you doing to me?
It is. I know. I'm trying to give you a heart, Brian. I don't think it's working because
it was broken.
I don't know. Yeah, poor Doug. Doug is a firefighter, and we don't really know much about how it all happens, but we know he goes into a burning building and something happens and he does not come out. And obviously Teddy and Kate, who he affectionately calls Katie Cat, and their mom, played by the beautiful Kimberly Williams Paisley. She looks exactly the same as she did in Father of the Bride in 1991. This is like 30 years later. I don't know how it's possible. You're a vampire. We all know it. Anyway, but she plays this mom. She's a nurse. She is doing her best to make ends meet and keep her kids happy. And, Kate is sad, but she's kind of, handling things outwardly a little bit better than Teddy. Teddy has decided to hang in with the wrong crowd. He's really angry, as you would be at 16 years old without your dad, right? Very just angry and snarky and starting to live a life of crime.
Yeah, living a life of crime. Absolutely, getting around there. I like we're introduced to kind of like the adult versions of the kids of the adult version, like the grown-up versions of these kids. You got Kate there, who I guess is like 11 years old, supposed to be, and she's talking into a video camera. It's pretty funny. She's like, I was as good as I could this year, and I don't swear that much, only when I really have to, and stuff. Her brother comes in and throws a shoe at her, which is pretty ridiculous. But yeah, she's making all these videos there on this little camcorder that we'd seen kind of earlier in the film that her dad was using on a side. I had that same camcorder, so that's pretty fun. And yeah, she's going to basically be the documentarian for this. And I guess the original kind of pitch for this story that the producers found was this was going to be like a found footage kind of movie, like Blair Witch, except for Christmas, which sounds pretty good. I would like to see something a little bit more of that. But yeah, she's going to be documenting this whole time, and she's documenting all sorts of stuff. She's documenting her letter to Santa Claus. She's documenting her brother and his friend stealing a car, and now she wants to document Santa Claus. And the only way to get her brother on the hook is say, you know what? I have this evidence of you doing some bad stuff. I'll turn that over to you if you help me find Santa Claus. Maybe we can reclaim some of this family magic that we have, right? That all went away when our dad died. Sad.
Yeah.
Why are so sad, all these Christmas movies?
They are. You have to have sad in order to have joy. We can talk about it. But it's Christmas Eve, and Claire, which is the mom, she gets called away to fill in for a coworker. And so Teddy and Kate, they're by themselves. And that's when Kate's like, hey, let's create this like Santa trap, and we're going to videotape. And they have all of these goodies, like vats of ice cream, and Teddy's like, this is going to be awesome. And they kind of have a good talk, right? But they both fall asleep, and then they hear the bells jingle.
Teddy!
What? Who?
Santa! He's gone.
You're kidding, right? What the?
He's on the roof. Let's go.
And Kate goes and starts to try and look through this little hole that they put in the wall, and they see that Santa is real and he's there, but it doesn't go to plan. They decide to go ahead and try and follow Santa because they're like, oh my gosh, we need to get more footage. We need to get better footage. It is kind of like the Blair Witch Project, because once you start videotaping the crazy, it never goes well. We should all listen to both of those lessons.
You can't stop. You can't stop. Yeah, I really like the way they set up the house. It's got like the little tripwire on there with the jingle bells. That's good. Kate's put like flour down in front of the fireplace so she can see if he's made any footsteps in there. And the whole reason this gets started, right? She's looking back at the family's Christmas videos, and she sees like a mystery like hand like reaching in and putting Christmas package down there under the tree. So she wants to bust Santa Claus. And yeah, the setup is pretty good. Teddy brings in like $900 worth of junk food that they're there, and they eat and fall asleep before Santa gets there at like 10 o'clock at night. It's pretty early for a 16-year-old Teddy to be falling asleep, I will say. But that's okay. So they're going to run outside. They're going to find Santa Claus there. They see him like hopping like roof to roof, like this like spirited sort of red blur going. But big ticket item right here, Michaela. We've got Santa's sleigh and reindeers just hovering above the street.
Tell me you're getting this.
Oh. Yeah, right.
And I think Santa's sleigh looks so cool in this movie.
It's more beautiful than I ever imagined.
Yeah, Santa's sleigh looks amazing. The reindeer actually look pretty good.
Look good.
They look all right. And so they decide that they're gonna try and ride in his sleigh and get a closer look. That's a mistake. Because
Yeah, Kate
Santa
like
is
jumps
not
like
used to
across the
anybody
street
else.
like a maniac to get in there.
She's like, let's do it. So they get in this, they get in the sleigh, they get in the back. They're like, oh my gosh, they've got this big bag, right? And Santa's not used to people being behind him. So when he
Very
finally
unobservant.
notices that
Yeah.
there are people, he screams. He like veers to the left, veers to the right. He loses his hat. They end up somewhere near Chicago, thousands
Mm.
of miles away. The sleigh breaks down, the reindeer scatter, and the bag of his presents is gone. And Santa kind of stands up and he's like, well, hello, kids. What have you done? And it's Kurt Russell as Santa.
Santa Claus?
Live and in person. One night only.
We got to talk a little bit about Kurt Russell. He gets a lot of flack for not being like a serious actor, in the sense that he plays himself or the same character every single movie he's in. And
I mean,
and
if
here's
I
the
was
thing,
Kurt Russell, I would just always act like Kurt Russell, I suppose.
right? I mean, he's basically the coolest human on the planet. I mean, what's wrong with that? And I have to say, I love it. I don't mind it. Like, I love him in everything he does. I loved him in Overboard. I loved him in Captain Ron. I loved him in Big Trouble in Little China. And it is basically a Jack Burton Santa Claus. And it's so great. First thing he says is, I'm not this big fat person. I'm magical. So of course I get to look like a normal person, but everybody else thinks I'm fat.
Why? Because I'm not a big fat slob?
No, I didn't mean it that way.
Oh, that's okay, Kate. Guess it's understandable. I mean, who can eat millions of cookies in one night and not get fat, right? Well, I can.
This is not fair. Fake news. I love that.
He doesn't say ho, ho, ho.
That's right. He doesn't say ho, ho, ho. But he loses his hat and he's like, guys, we've really screwed up. Like, I need to get my hat. We need to get the reindeer back. What are we going to do? And they're thousands of miles from home, so they can't really go home. So they decide they're going to try and help Santa reclaim all his stuff. And so that's like the first adventure, is going into a bar on Christmas Eve, trying to get help, maybe a taxi or I don't know, an Uber.
Yeah, an Uber.
Them.
Yeah, the hostess wants to help him get an Uber. Yeah, I love that. He crashes and he's lost all of like the key things, right? Like the reindeer got away, the Christmas present bag got dropped, and he lost his hat. So he lost like all the things that Santa Claus needs to do his Santa Claus stuff for sure. And they go to that bar. It's called like Nick's Place, I think, right? Like Saint Nick's. It's like an Irish bar. He goes in. And one of my favorite parts about this movie then is that Santa Claus knows everyone, right? Like, it's his job to know who all these people are and what they want for Christmas. So he just goes in and he starts talking to like the hostess there at the restaurant bar, and talking about what she wants for Christmas, and going around trying to get help from all these people. And very I guess if someone came up to me and like knew who I was and what I wanted for Christmas when I was a little kid, I might be a little put off by that too, being like, what is going on with this individual? But yeah, not able to find any help, but they are able to find one of the bartender guy, I don't know who he was working at the bar, this big burly guy who had stolen a car, and they decide that Teddy is going to turn back to his life of crime to steal this car back, and that's how they're going to get around the city of Chicago. So they get themselves a pretty sweet ride and are off on their adventure to reclaim all of this stuff.
Yeah. No, and I love this chase scene because the cops start chasing them, and we see these two characters, Dave Pavetta, Mikey Jameson, played by, I'm going to say his name wrong, Lamorne Morris, who's hilarious, and Martin Roach. So both of them are like chasing after things. They don't believe for a minute that Santa is Santa until one of them sees the reindeer like take flight, and he's like, oh, dude, it is Santa. And the other one's like, absolutely not. It's not Santa. I love this. So Teddy is out of the car. They're arresting Santa. They're going to bring him to the station. And Santa's got this little thing in his bag, or in his, like up his sleeve. And it's like this orb that glows. And he says, hey, Teddy, you need to get on the reindeer. You need to figure out a way to follow this orb thing. It's going to tell you where the pack is, where my Santa bag is, and you got to find the elves, and you can fix the sleigh, and don't worry about me. And so Teddy like takes a run for it. He jumps on Comet or Cupid or Donner, and they fly into the air, and Kate is on the back as well, and it's like super cool. It's a great scene. They're just having the best fun. And I want to talk a little bit about the evening sky, because there's a lot of sweeping shots where they show them in all of the different night skies, whether they're in Paris or Tokyo or Chicago. And I think that those are some of the most beautiful shots that I've ever seen. I don't know how they did it. I'm sure they used some sort of CGI, but it almost looks like they also did some like back panels that were actually like hand painted, because they're just beautifully done and really peaceful. But then there's a part where they're going through like a thunderstorm, and that looks really cool. And I really love that they kind of created this really realistic Earth-like experience for these kids to go through, because it's not always snowing. It's not always like this white winter wonderland, depending on where they go. And I really like that they showed that.
Yeah, it does look really good. Especially like the top like street down views in Chicago. I don't know if they're doing those with like a drone or just from the top of very tall buildings within Chicago, but yeah, it looks really great. And then you have the big kind of chasing there with the car, and then also bringing in the deer, as you mentioned, the reindeer there. Kate is going to go and get the reindeer. They're very scared. I don't like these little skittish reindeer. That's okay, because Kate has a pocket full of candy canes. I think Santa Claus had tried to use those to like pay for a taxi or something, or was going to like offer them up for an Uber or something there at the bar. So she takes them, and that's how she gets the reindeer afoot. And then, yeah, the two kids are off on their adventure. But bad news for Santa Claus. He's getting sent to jail because what is it? The one police officer there does not buy the story. Freddie is like, nah, not buying the story. So I really like the scene then. You get Santa Claus in jail, and he's like sitting at like the little like interview room table there, and he just starts pulling out presents, including some sweet vintage Star Wars toys, and showing them to Freddie, and is like, hey, these were the things that you wanted as a kid. And but Freddie is kind of buying it a little bit, but still pretty skeptical of Santa Claus. But Santa Claus makes a prophecy that's about to come true. He says, listen, guy, if you don't let me out of here, people aren't going to get their Christmas presents. Christmas cheer is going to dwindle, and you're about to have a real long day here of crime and sadness in the city of Chicago and all around the world. And Freddie finds that out, right? He goes out into the lobby, and there are a bunch of people in there, a bunch of people going into the slammer, including some rock stars that are going to help Kurt Russell sing a song.
Now, ladies, let's get this party started.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Christmas movie, so it had to have some sort of song, musical content in it. I really love the way that they did this. It could have been a lot hookier. It might have been better. I don't know. I think Kurt Russell does a great job. His voice is great. There's a part where he like is alluding to a piano, and then there's this big red piano and he's playing it. Steven Van Zandt is there, and he's gets this guitar that he wanted in like 1971, and
from the E
that's
Street
really
Band.
cool.
Yeah,
right. It's really cool. I think there is another woman. I think it's Bruce Springsteen's wife is actually one of the singers.
Okay.
There's these three singers, and then there's this blonde chick off to the side, and I think that's her. I could be wrong. There are only a couple of shots of her, but I'm like, hey, she looks really familiar, and that's who I think it is. If you know, tell me, because I looked it up and I couldn't find it. But I really like this part because they're taking all of these inmates and they're like like humanizing them, and they're all kind of singing these songs, talking about Christmas, and that's really kind of fun. As they're, we're also seeing the adventures of poor Kate. and Teddy. Kate's gets inside. They find the bag of toys, but then Kate gets like sucked into the bag, and Teddy loses his mind. He's like, "Oh my god!" And they're in the middle of downtown Chicago in like this really scary park, and these people are these kind of thug-looking guys are there that are like, "Hey, we're gonna take this bag," and he's like, "You can't have the bag. It's my sister. My sister's in the bag." And meanwhile, Kate gets like transported to the toy making center of the North Pole, which looks amazing. And she goes into this kind of letter hall of fame, and she gets to see that where all the letters are, and all the video like letters are, and all of the postcards are, where people are asking for Santa for things and things like that. And that's really cool. And she gets to meet all the elves,
The North Pole section is pretty cool. Yeah, so the kids are on their adventure, right? So they find Santa's bag. Kate goes in and gets transported to the North Pole to go recruit the elves. The elves, I guess, can help Santa Claus get his hat back, right? So they've got the reindeer, check. They've got the bag of toys, check. Now they just need to get the elves who can get Santa his magic hat back. And Kate's going to go and recruit them after, yeah, she goes through a little bit of Santa's stuff and figures out the way that Santa works. One of my favorite parts about this movie and some other Christmas movies like Polar Express and things, when the movie tries to kind of explain or like realize like how Santa does like Santa Claus stuff, because we all know that Santa is absolutely real, but we don't know how Santa does what Santa does in one night. So I really like it when movies try to kind of like examine that, and this movie does a really good job of, you know, between him like basically like vaporizing between like chimney to chimney, like going super fast. They've also got like this like warp tunnel kind of thing that he can like trans navigate like the globe, you know, in like the matter of seconds, like getting around. So I thought that that stuff was really cool. And then, yeah, the North Pole section looks really cool. She picks up a remote and flips it on, and it's all these kids who have sent in Christmas videos to Santa Claus. I guarantee Michaela tears up every time that happens. And Kate sees herself there on that, even though Teddy has said, you know, Santa doesn't watch videos, right? You have to write him a handwritten letter. And we find out that that is what Teddy had done, right? So even though Teddy is a non-believer, he had written to Santa Claus one last gasp here to try to get something, a Christmas wish granted. But we don't find out what that is right now for sure, because adventure awaits. Because we've got all these Christmas elves. They have a fun little design, right? They don't look like little people, but they look like kind of like little like cats, like Kung Fu Panda
No,
cats or something,
no,
kind of, sort of.
they
sort of,
look
kind
like
of.
wise little baby things. They're so
No,
cute, and they speak
they're kind of
Elvish.
cute. They do
And
speak Elvish. They are
oh, there's
cute.
Lars, and he's like, Lars, what's your name?
And
Lars.
he eats 10,000 candy canes,
No,
Lars
no, that's the other
does.
one. That's the other one.
Well,
That's like Vindelflock or something. And he's like, oh,
mm,
I just love my candy canes. And it's all stick. Like he creates this super sticky book. Oh, but
it's
they're so
it's gross.
cute. They're
They're
all so
cute.
cute.
The design of them looks pretty good. Good job, Netflix. The budget
Yeah,
was pretty well spent on those. I thought that they looked
yeah,
pretty good, but
they do. But they will rip your face off if
they
you're
will.
not good to them. So it's so funny when Kate gets there and they tie her up and they're like, ha!
They tie her
And
up
she's
with
like,
Christmas
no,
lights.
and she's like, Christmas must endure. Santa told me. And then they all get her attention and they're like, Christmas must endure.
He said Christmas must endure. Christmas must endure.
And so they end up coming out of the pack because they're all in the pack. They're all in that sack, that infinity sack thing. That it's like the TARDIS. It's way bigger on the inside. And so when Teddy is in the real world and he's about to get put in like the oven or get killed or whatever by these total crime bosses, that they end up coming out of the bag and they
Yeah.
almost get Teddy. They get all the others, but they almost get Teddy. And then Kate finally comes out and she's like, he's with me.
He's about
A
ready to take like a
chainsaw.
chainsaw to the crotch of Teddy. That's bad. That's bad news.
It was
I
bad.
didn't. This was kind of fun, right? Because the little elves, you know, beat up these bad guys. Is kind of an aside. I don't know that I necessarily needed in the film, to be honest, but it is pretty fun. It's kind of fun there. So yeah, that's all three checks done for the kids, right? So we've got Santa's bag, we've got Santa's reindeer, and we've got Santa's hat. Now we've got the elves back there. So they're gonna go bust Santa out. So of course, I think it's Lars there that breaks into the prison cell and gives him his hat, and then Santa, you know, kind of evaporates up just like we've seen him going like house to house. So he gets out of there, but he reunites with the kids, right? So all of the elves are there, and he's like, well, you did good, kids, but too bad you ruined Christmas. We don't have enough time anymore. Christmas canceled. Now don't worry about it. I guess, you know, the world's going to implode or whatever happens if Christmas doesn't happen. It's going to be bad. But luckily, you know, Kate and Teddy now. Teddy has come on board as a full believer again, and they're going to offer to help Santa Claus set things right. So they have just a couple of minutes, like a half hour or something, to deliver presents all around the world. And they say, you know, you're just one man, Santa. You can do this in one night, but if you have all three of us doing it, we could probably do it in no time at all. And that is what happens.
That is what happens. Again, there's so many details that I love. So Santa's checking his list twice. And of course, because Finnoflaken, or whatever his name, Grindaflock, has eaten a candy cane. A page gets stuck and they missed one kid who I think is in Mexico City, and he wanted a skateboard, or he wanted a snowboard. And so they go down real quick and they get the snowboard. They have like 2 seconds left. And he or she comes down and sees Santa's right there. And it's so cool. And it's those moments that like you remember as a kid where, you know, you came down and you feel like you just missed him. Like he just got there. And it's really fun, but they end up getting back, saving Christmas. They do all of that. They end up getting back to Lowell, Massachusetts, which is where they live, just in time for their mom to come home. And so they say goodbye. They say goodbye to Santa. And it's really neat because it's at that moment that they realize that Santa actually didn't need his hat. He didn't need his toys. He didn't need the reindeer. Like, he could have gotten all of that on his own. And he probably knew that they were going to get in the back of the sleigh all along. But his gift to them was each other, and figuring things out together, and realizing that their dad might not be alive anymore, but they'll always have themselves and they'll always have each other. And it really kind of recreates that bond together that had been really missing. And it makes them both realize the true meaning of Christmas isn't the things that you get, but it's the love that you share.
That's right. It is the love that you share. But he is going to give them a couple of gifts, right, to wrap this film up. They go back inside, and, you know, Claire, the mom, had asked Teddy to decorate for Christmas. So they go inside, and it's decorated to the nines. I think she says it's just like how Dad would decorate it, or just Kate says that, something like that. So that's very sad. And then they look. There's a couple of presents under their tree from Santa Claus. So Kate opens hers. That's the skateboard that she was asking for in the video she was recording earlier in the film. And then Teddy opens his box, and we found out kind of along the way here that letter that Teddy had written. Teddy had asked Santa for, you know, one last chance to talk to his dad. He's like, I don't know if you can do this, Santa Claus, but I'd really like to have one more opportunity to talk to my dad. My life has gone astray. That's bad. I just need to be able to talk to him one more time. If you can help me with that. And he gets a box from Santa, and has a little note in there, and it says, I can't. That's, you know, beyond my abilities as Santa Claus to do something like that. But maybe this will help. And he gives him an ornament, and Kate says, oh, there's a place on the tree that would be perfect. So Teddy gets up and hangs it up, and he's kind of looking at his reflection. He kind of morphs into his dad, right? I think it's supposed to be like metaphorical. He can see his father in himself, and, you know, is able to kind of say goodbye to his stance. So Michaela's going to start tearing up again here, no doubt, when he sees his dad there. Again, why are these Christmas movies so sad? And that is how it ends. All is well that ends well. You know, for our kids anyway, Santa Claus is back. He's back to work. I love it so much. He's back at the North Pole. He's sitting there. He's reading over some stuff, you know, making some check marks on his list. And at the time, we didn't know Christmas Chronicles 2 was going to come about. But Mrs. Claus walks out. She looks just as bad to the bone as Kurt Russell's Santa Claus does, because it's none other than Santa Claus's actual real wife, Goldie Hawn, there coming in to play Mrs. Claus. And that's pretty great. That's pretty
great. It is pretty great. She comes in and she's got some wood. She looks amazing. She's like the hottest Mrs. Claus in the world, by the way. And I don't even know how old they are. They look amazing. And she's like, yeah, so how did it go? And I heard from the elves that, you know, there was a car chase, and maybe we ruined the sleigh. And he says, yeah, there's no need to lose your head. And she was like, oh yeah, except you didn't lose your head. You lost your hat. And she kind of winks, because she knows. Women know. We all know. We're going to find out. Okay. That's the story there. But she says, hey, do you want to watch It's a Wonderful Life, which is Brian's favorite film? She says, do you want to watch Rudolph, which is one of my favorite films? And he's like, no, I got a great idea. And he pulls out from his pocket the little cassette, 8mm cassette tape thing that they made in the 90s when we had video recordings, right? Because he wasn't going to let Kate keep the evidence that Santa Claus existed, because the magic is all about the faith that you have and not being able to see it and believing it instead. But he was like, I got an idea. Let's watch this. And so that's kind of how it ends. And it's amazing, and it sets it up so nicely for a sequel, which is great.
It does, yeah, it does. It does a good Marvel job there of setting up a sequel for sure. And we're going to get the sequel in, I think 2020 was when Christmas Chronicles 2 came out. But yeah, that is Christmas Chronicles. And like I mentioned, Michaela, I had not watched it until just a couple of days ago to get ready for the podcast, so it's still pretty fresh in my mind for sure. You mentioned that you watched it every year, but there was some stuff that I really liked in this one. I really liked. I thought the best part of the movie, to be honest, was the girl. What was her name? Her name was Kate, that's played by Darby Camp. I thought she was excellent in the role. Of course, Kurt Russell is really good. His line delivery, like you said, he's just like the Kurt Russell of Santa Claus is. That's exactly what he was, and that was pretty fun. Teddy, he was okay. He's starting to get on my nerves a little bit until he found his Christmas spirit. Get on with it, Teddy. Stop stealing cars. Be good. But I thought that this was pretty good. It was a fun movie. It was a fun time, and like I said, I really liked kind of the exploration of all the things that Santa Claus needs to operate. Within the world. I really like that. And I really liked that Santa Claus didn't act all mysterious. Normally when stuff like this happens, right, and people find Santa Claus or stumble across Santa Claus, Santa Claus tries to be all secretive and not be seen, but not Kurt Russell Santa Claus. He's just waltzing into bars, talking to everyone, doesn't care if people see him. Love that.
Yeah. Yeah, love it, because he probably knows they're not going to believe him anyway. I mean, one of my favorite scenes is what he does for one of the police officers, right? Who is the one that is a staunch disbeliever. He's like, "Look, you have mental illness or something. Like you are not Santa Claus. I know you're not Santa Claus." And and Kurt Russell Santa, he pulls out all of these things from his jacket, from his coat, and he's like, "This is what you wanted when you were 6, and this is what you wanted when you were 7." And he still is like, "No, you're not Santa Claus. I don't believe you." And but he gives Santa gives him this really amazing gift of his ex-wife calling him up and maybe having a chat, because he knows that at the end of the day, that is really what he wants the most, even if he probably didn't ask Santa for it. And that's the other thing, right? Teddy had a really rough year losing his dad, but he still, believed enough to put in a letter, and he had the opportunity to try and ruin his sister's belief in Santa at the beginning of the film, and he doesn't do it. He does almost kill her fish, and that's not cool. It really bothers
cool.
me seeing that scene every
like
time.
Throws a shoe at her head, but yeah, doesn't spill the
but
beans.
He doesn't spill the beans because he knows, and there are no beans to spill because Santa's totally real. But he doesn't try to ruin it for her, even though it might make him feel better for a second to bring her to a level of unhappiness of where he is. He doesn't do it because he is actually a true believer in the end, and that's really cool. I don't know, Brian. Now that you've seen this, I'd like to get your view. I mean, is it going to make your Christmas list next year? What do you think?
I don't know. There's movies obviously that we all kind of hold dear to ourselves that we definitely, watch every year. And this movie was good enough, I think, to go into a rotation. I don't know if this is something that I would necessarily watch every year, but every couple of years, or if this was on, right? Like if we were hanging out, the nieces and nephews and wanted to put something on, I think that this would be a really good pick. And yeah, it was really fun. I really love kind of the portrayal of Santa Claus here within the movie. I liked kind of the interactions with kids, which sometimes I can be kind of hot or cold on, depending on how that's played off. But I really like that. I really like the setting of Chicago. I don't know if that was done because it was being produced by Chris Columbus, although I think the film was actually filmed in Toronto, but Home Alone set in Chicago. They're just outside of Chicago, so I don't know if that had ties back to that as to why that's where they ended up in the world. But yeah, I loved all the Christmas Santa Claus stuff, the way the sleigh flew. I loved the way that the reindeer looked. I thought that they looked really good. Obviously they're not real reindeer, obviously, but I thought that they looked really good. I thought that the elves looked pretty good. They were kind of fun there in the film. So yeah, I don't know. Thought it was pretty good. So
good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Listeners, what did y'all think? Have you seen this? Do you like it? Is it something they did bring out a Christmas Chronicles 2, in my opinion, not as good as Christmas Chronicles 1, but covers some different issues with the whole Pierce family. That is kind of interesting. But we get to see a lot more Goldie Hawn, so that's also really cool. We'll maybe tackle that another Christmas. But what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about this amazing peppermint martini, candy cane martini? Was it candy caney enough for you? It probably was. We want to hear all of the thoughts about the movie and the cocktail.
Absolutely. Yeah. We want to hear what you thought about the movie, what you thought about the cocktail, and what you're getting up to this final week of the holiday season. If there's any films we haven't covered that you watch every year, let us know that, because we need to get some holiday classics on the schedule for next year. It's never too late. You have to be planning for Christmas. It's like a year-round thing to get ready for it. So let us know all that stuff. You can do it on our social medias. That's at Drink the Movies on Instagram and X and Threads and Blue Sky and Facebook.com/Drink the Movies. You can go to our website, www.drinkthemovies.com. That's where we have pictures of our cocktails, episode recaps, recipes, other stuff, all those things. Go to the website. You can find that. You can also find the link to our Patreon. It's patreon.com/drinkthemovies. We've got bonus content there, cocktail chats, bonus film reviews, just times we hang out, access to the Discord server, all that stuff. You can find that again on our Patreon, patreon.com/drinkthemovies. Go there, and we definitely appreciate our patrons very, very much. So thank you to all of them. Michaela, we do 2 drops a week here. People need to make sure they are finding out when those happen. So where can they do that?
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, anywhere where Spotify podcasts are supported and distributed. If you're hearing us right now, I bet you're listening to us on something that has a subscribe button. So press that button if you're liking what you're hearing. If you're really liking what you're hearing, leave us a 5-star review. Tell your friends. Share us on all the social media. We are really excited to be able and grateful to be able to talk about movies and cocktails and music and all sorts of art forms around alcohof. It's like our favorite thing. At least it's my favorite thing, hanging out with Brian, doing this. We can't do it without y'all. So thank you so much for all of those of you who have been part of the community, who are part of our Discord channel. We love talking with our listeners. We'd love to talk more to you. So do that.
Do that indeed. Yeah. Thank you so much to everyone who's done that. And we hope everyone out there has a safe and happy holidays, however you're celebrating. Stay tuned. No lobby bar coming this week, but we're going to have a special Drink the Movies / Drink the Music special presentation. We're going to talk about our own kind of Christmas traditions, favorite Christmas drinks, and do a little bit of a playlist made out of the soundtracks of the films we've covered so far on Drink the Movies. So look forward to that, probably dropping on Sunday. So make sure you get subscribed to the podcast and get that. And then next week, we're going to be taking a turn down the chocolate covered road to talk about Wonka. So looking forward to that as well. So I don't know, Michaela, watching Christmas Chronicles, it really got me in the spirit to make sure that I'm on the nice list, because Santa seems like he knows exactly what you want, and that's the kind of friend you need right there for sure. So I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go do some goodwill towards men and mix up another one of these cocktails. I think that'll get some goodwill with you. So thanks for joining in, and we'll talk to everyone next time on
Drink the Movies.
Yeah, like the first 5 minutes of the movie, I'm like, oh, this is nice. Oh, Dad's dead.
Oh, Brian.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
It says the person whose favorite
it all turned out.
Your favorite movie is It's a Wonderful Life. You can't get more sad than that. I mean, come on.
He didn't die.
He just almost died.
He just got to experience a world where he didn't live.
Never existed.
Yeah, that's less sad. See, no one can be sad if you never existed. Christmas Chronicles. Give it a watch. It was fun.
It was good.